The alarms blared before the Dragon Empress could even lift her hands. Sparks shot across the chamber walls, and the soft hum of the life support fields warped into an angry scream of electricity. Mara, the Dragon Empress, gritted her teeth in frustration, her wheelchair stuck between two glowing control panels. Today was supposed to be quiet, a private birthday far from political court intrigue, but the palace had other plans. The metal floor vibrated beneath her, and her heart raced faster than any celebration could have made it. Somewhere in the chaos, a thud echoed. Mara's sharp gaze caught movement. A small, silver-scaled creature slammed through the nearest window, scattering glass like glittering rain. It skidded across the floor, leaving tiny scorch marks behind. Its wings flapped erratically, and its eyes shone with frantic intelligence. Mara blinked. She had never seen anything like it. Her instinct screamed at her to stay back, but another part of her, the part that had spent decades commanding dragons and armies, recognized a life in danger. A voice called out from the hall outside, steady and human. "Empress, stay there. I'm coming." Eli Thorne, the palace plumber, appeared through the swinging doorway, tools in hand, sweat streaking his face. The chaos had caught him mid-repair, but he didn't hesitate. His eyes swept the chamber, assessing the sparks, the fallen shards of glass, and the small creature twisting in panic. He didn't flinch. He lunged toward the Empress, leaping over a spitting conduit, and grabbed the arm of her wheelchair, steadying it. "Hold on. I've got you." Mara exhaled sharply, gripping the wheelchair controls as sparks arced dangerously close. What is that thing?" she demanded, voice trembling but commanding. The creature hissed at the sound of her words, tiny flames licking the edges of the scorched floor. It was small, no larger than a wolf pup, but Mara sensed something ancient in its presence. Something alive and urgent. "I don't know," Eli admitted, kneeling to examine the creature without hesitation. "But it's hurt. And it's connected to something here, something in this room. I can feel it." He grabbed a portable energy dampener from his toolkit and aimed it at the creature. A soft pulse of light radiated outward, and the creature froze, tilting its head as if listening. Mara watched, her breath catching as the panic in its eyes softened just enough. "You're a human," she said slowly. She'd given orders to thousands over the years, but never had a human moved through danger like this. Calm, fearless, clever. She felt a flicker of hope she hadn't felt in decades. "Human enough," Eli replied, adjusting the dampener. Sparks still danced dangerously across the walls, but he stayed focused. "We need to move now. This chamber won't hold for long." The lights flickered violently, and the containment fields around her wheelchair began to fail. Mara's heart pounded. If the chair lost power, she would be trapped, or worse, electrocuted. Eli's hands flew over the wheelchair interface, rerouting emergency power through plumbing conduits he barely understood, improvising as he went. Electricity hissed and cracked around them, and yet somehow, through sheer skill and intuition, he stabilized the field just enough for her to move. Mara let out a gasp of relief, gripping his arm. The creature screeched suddenly, a high, shrill sound that echoed off the palace walls. It hopped toward a glowing panel Mara had barely noticed before. Tiny, metallic glyphs flickered beneath its claws, activating something buried deep in the floor. Energy surged around the chamber, pulsing in time with the creature's heartbeat. Mara's eyes widened. Those weren't just random symbols, they were instructions, warnings, or maybe a key. She didn't know yet, but the implication sent a shiver through her. Eli noticed it too. "I've never seen anything like this," he muttered, scanning the glyphs with a handheld sensor. "This is old. Alien tech or maybe ancient dragon magic. Either way, it's unstable. And it's reacting to it, to the creature." He looked at Mara. "You need to get out of here. Now." Before she could respond, a loud crash shook the chamber. A ceiling panel buckled, sending a cascade of sparks and metal fragments toward them. Mara's wheelchair jolted dangerously. Without thinking, Eli threw himself over her chair, bracing it with his body while yanking cables free to divert the falling current. Pain shot up his arms, but he held firm. Mara's breath caught, watching a human risk everything for her life. In that moment, she realized she had never truly understood the depth of courage outside of her own species. The creature let out a final desperate squeal and darted toward a shaft in the floor. Mara's eyes followed it and her mind raced. That tiny being, whatever it was no ordinary visitor. It held a secret. Something that could change everything she thought she knew about her power, her lineage, maybe even her destiny. And then, as Eli stabilized the last flicker of the failing power field, the creature disappeared into the darkness below. A soft, Ominous hum filled the chamber in its place. Mara felt it resonate through her wheelchair, a vibration unlike anything she'd experienced before. She looked at Eli, voice barely a whisper. What was that? Eli wiped soot from his face, breathing hard. I don't know. But whatever it is, it's just the beginning. Outside, the palace corridors were quiet again, but the hum from below promised something waiting. Something dangerous, something alive, and something that could rewrite her life. Mara's birthday had begun in chaos. And for the first time in centuries she realized she was not alone. The hum beneath the chamber grew louder, a throbbing rhythm that rattled the metal walls. Mara gripped the wheelchair's armrests, trying to steady herself as sparks from the failing containment field flickered across the ceiling. Eli crouched beside her, scanning the floor with his handheld sensor. It's not just a creature, he muttered. It's a whole system, something buried under the palace. And it's waking up. Mara's eyes narrowed. She had ruled dragons and humans alike, faced assassins and wars, but this was different. She felt powerless in her own chamber. The glyphs the creature had activated glowed faintly, pulsing in sync with the hum. Eli noticed them too, eyes scanning quickly. The energy's unstable. If it spikes again, it could fry this entire wing of the palace. A sudden shock ran through the floor. The wheelchair jolted, throwing Mara back against its safety straps. She gasped, panic rising. Sparks leapt from the walls and the smell of burning metal filled the air. Eli, she cried. Do something. Eli didn't hesitate. He grabbed a pipe running along the wall, twisting it to redirect the energy surge. Sparks flew across his gloves and he grunted against the heat. Hold on, Empress. I can stabilize it, just a little longer. His voice carried calm authority, though his body burned from the jolts. Mara watched, awe mixed with fear. Here was a human, completely untrained in palace defenses or dragon energy, improvising a solution no dragon or engineer had ever dared try. The small dragon creature squealed somewhere below, its voice echoing through the stone. The hum shifted, stronger now, as if reacting to both Mara and Eli. The glyphs flared, brightening like tiny suns. Suddenly, a panel in the floor cracked open. Mara leaned forward, eyes wide. She had expected alarms, sparks, maybe a fire, but not this. A faint light spilled upward, revealing a narrow shaft descending into darkness. The creature's silver scales glinted at the edge before it disappeared. Eli's brow furrowed. That's where it went. Whatever it's guarding, it's alive. And it's dangerous. He looked at Mara. We can't just stay here. The energy is rising and I can't hold it forever. Mara hesitated. She wanted to leap into action, but her wheelchair limited her mobility. Yet she realized something crucial. Panic would get her nowhere. She could command, guide, and trust the human beside her. Take me down there, she said. I need to see it. Eli blinked, surprised. Humans weren't supposed to have this kind of authority in the palace. But he nodded quickly. All right. But we move fast and we stay alive. He rigged a harness to secure Mara and attached a portable energy dampener to her chair, just in case the pulses surged again. One wrong move and we could fry you or worse. The descent was tight and dark. Only the faint glow from the glyphs and the creature's pulse illuminated the walls. Mara gripped the armrest, feeling fear spike in her chest. She had faced dragons breathing fire and storms tearing the skies, but this unknown living energy, felt like nothing she had ever encountered. Suddenly the hum spiked again. The floor beneath them vibrated violently, and a bright streak of energy shot from the walls toward Mara's chair. Eli dove forward, smashing the dampener against the incoming surge. The energy arced harmlessly into it, crackling and sizzling, and Mara exhaled sharply. You're incredible, she said, voice trembling. Eli shook his head, wiping sweat from his brow. I just do what needs doing. But this is beyond anything I've dealt with. We're going to have to get closer to understand it. The shaft widened into a small chamber, barely tall enough for Mara to sit upright. And there, at the center, lay a nest-like structure of shimmering metal filaments, pulsing with alien energy. The small dragon hovered above it, wings vibrating. Its eyes were wide, intelligent, almost pleading. Mara felt a pang of connection she didn't understand. Something about this creature resonated with her wheelchair, her life force, as if it recognized her as kin. Eli crouched, running his tools over the filaments, eyes scanning rapidly. It's alive and it's smart. But the energy, it's wild. One mistake and we trigger a meltdown that could collapse this entire wing. He glanced at Mara. I need you to stay calm, follow my lead. You can't interfere directly, just trust me. Mara nodded, swallowing her fear. She had commanded dragons, armies, and empires. Now she had to trust a human plumber to guide her through something that threatened her life. And somehow that trust felt right. The dragon creature squeaked again and flared its wings. A pulse of energy shot outward, touching the edges of the nest. The filaments glowed brighter, resonating with Mara's wheelchair. Lights flickered, sparks flew, and a sudden crack echoed through the chamber. The nest began to shift, rising slowly, revealing a metallic, cocoon-like form beneath. Mara leaned forward, eyes wide. Something alive, something ancient, stirred inside. Eli grabbed her chair, holding the dampener steady. "It's waking," he said, voice low. "We've triggered it." "I don't think it's happy we're here." Mara's heart pounded. Fear mixed with curiosity and an unbidden sense of hope. The birthday she had expected to be quiet, lonely, and uneventful had turned into a crisis beyond imagination. She realized she was on the edge of something monumental, a mystery that could change her life forever. The chamber quaked, the energy rising faster. Sparks danced across the walls. The dragon creature shrieked and flitted closer to the cocoon. Mara felt the pulse of power in her wheelchair, stronger than before, almost like it was calling to her. Eli looked up at her, eyes wide with both awe and concern. "Whatever this is, it's alive. And it wants something from you. I don't know what, but if we don't act fast," he didn't finish the sentence. The cocoon shuddered violently, cracking open along one seam. A blinding light spilled out, and the hum became a roar. Mara shielded her eyes. The dragon creature darted toward the light. Eli gritted his teeth, holding her chair steady. And then, from within the cocoon, a pair of glowing eyes opened, looking directly at the Empress. The creature wasn't the only one awake. Something far larger, far more ancient had stirred. The glowing eyes from the cocoon pierced through the chamber like twin suns. Mara's breath caught. She had faced dragons older than kingdoms, yet nothing had ever stared at her with such awareness, such intelligence. The small silver creature flitted nervously above, circling the cocoon, but this new presence was massive. Its outline hinted at scales larger than her wheelchair, wings folded like shadows behind it, and a low hum radiated from its chest that made the walls vibrate. Eli's hands shook only slightly as he adjusted the energy dampener. "Empress, it knows we're here," he muttered. "And I think it knows you." Mara's mind raced. She had ruled empires, commanded respect, and faced betrayal countless times. But this was personal. She felt a pull in her chest, subtle but undeniable, like the creature was connecting with her life force. It recognizes me," she whispered, voice trembling. "I've never seen anything like this. It's my bloodline?" Eli's brow furrowed. "Impossible. That's not just biology, it's technology, energy, and something else. But yeah, I'd say it's bonded to you somehow." He glanced at the small dragon, which chirped and pulsed light in response to the larger creature. "Whatever that little one is, it led us here for a reason. They're connected." Mara's eyes narrowed. Her birthday had begun with loneliness, and now it had turned into a revelation she hadn't imagined. "Show me," she said, determination hardening her voice. "Show me what it wants." The larger creature stirred, wings unfolding slowly, revealing iridescent scales that glinted in every color of the spectrum. Its voice wasn't vocal, it resonated inside Mara's mind, a series of images, emotions, and flashes of memory she didn't recognize as her own. She saw fragments of an ancient ceremony, dragon guardians cradling a cocoon, and then the small silver dragon screaming as it was torn away. The emotions were raw: fear, loss, loyalty, and hope. Eli's eyes widened as he realized Mara wasn't hallucinating. "It's communicating," he said quietly. "Through your energy. That's why the glyphs activated. You're a key to it. You have to interact carefully or it could lash out." Mara drew a slow breath, gripping the wheelchair armrests. "Then I have to try," she said, voice steady despite the quake in her chest. "No one else will understand this, Eli. Only me." Eli nodded, placing a reassuring hand on her chair. "I'll hold the field steady. You lead." Mara reached out with a trembling hand, not physically but mentally, focusing on the pulsing energy. She felt the large creature respond, a wave of warmth radiating from it. The small silver dragon chirped, circling around her, nudging her like a guide. Slowly she extended her focus deeper, touching the layers of energy and ancient tech intertwined in the cocoon. A sudden surge shot outward, knocking both Mara and Eli back against the chamber walls. Sparks flew, and the hum escalated to a deafening roar. Mara gasped but kept her concentration. She understood now, the cocoon wasn't a trap. It was a guardian. It had been waiting for her, waiting for someone human enough, brave, clever, compassionate, to unlock its bond. Eli gritted his teeth, stabilizing the wheelchair and energy dampener under immense pressure. Careful. Don't push it too far. Mara's focus intensified. Images from her past flashed. Lonely birthdays, political betrayals, endless nights in the palace. And now, intertwined with those memories came the essence of this creature. Her lost heir, her missing legacy, the living proof that dragons and humans could coexist, and that she wasn't as alone as she had believed. The cocoon cracked further, thin lines of light spreading like veins over the metallic surface. The large dragon stretched its wings, but instead of striking, it hovered above, eyes locked on Mara. Its energy pulses slowed, almost curious, mirroring the rhythm of her heartbeat. Mara felt a swell of emotion, fear, awe, and an undeniable connection. She realized she could guide it, calm it, even protect it. Eli's voice broke through her focus. It's responding to you. Keep steady. One wrong move and it could fry us. But if you keep this up, you could control the energy, maybe even calm the whole system. Mara nodded, steeling herself. She focused, sending calm pulses of energy through her wheelchair, through the dampener, and into the cocoon. Slowly, carefully, the humming intensity dropped. Sparks stopped flying. The chamber's vibration softened. The glyph's glow stabilized. The large creature lowered itself fully into the chamber, its massive wings folding. The small dragon chirped happily, landing on Mara's lap with surprising gentleness. Mara felt the creature's warmth seep into her, a mix of dragon fire and alien energy. She gasped, realizing the creature's bond wasn't just physical. It was emotional, intelligent, and waiting for her approval, her leadership, and her courage. Eli exhaled sharply, leaning back against the wall. You did it. You actually did it. Mara's eyes shone, a mixture of triumph and wonder. I didn't just save it, it saved me too. Her voice trembled. For the first time in years, she felt the isolation she had always endured fade, replaced by connection. Something bigger than herself, bigger than her palace, bigger than her birthday. Suddenly, a metallic clatter echoed from the shaft above, where they had descended. Mara's head snapped up. What now? Eli tensed, scanning the shadows. That's not part of the bond. Someone, or something, is coming. His hand went to a small wrench in his belt, ready to act. The cocoon's glow flared one last time, and a shadowy figure appeared above the shaft. An alien silhouette, taller than any human, moving with purpose toward the chamber. Mara's pulse spiked. She had faced impossible odds before, but now, with her heir awakened and danger above, she realized the real test had only begun. The shadow moved faster than Mara expected, sliding down the shaft toward the chamber with a terrifying grace. Eli's eyes widened. That's not just an intruder, it's armed and not human. He tightened his grip on the dampener, scanning the approaching figure. Sparks from the cocoon reflected off its metallic armor, revealing alien markings that Mara didn't recognize. Its presence radiated authority and danger. Mara's pulse raced. The cocoon's energy had stabilized, and the small dragon chirped nervously on her lap, wings fluttering. But now a new threat had arrived. She could feel the alien's gaze locking onto her, as if sensing her bond with the creature. Her chest tightened. This wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about protecting her legacy, her heir, and the fragile trust forming between species. Eli whispered, voice tense but controlled. Empress. I'll hold it off. But you have to lead the dragon. Only your bond can control this energy. He glanced at the small dragon, then back at her. If you fail this chamber, and maybe you won't survive. Mara nodded, swallowing her fear. She adjusted her wheelchair, gripping the controls like reins, focusing entirely on the pulsing energy beneath the cocoon. Then we do this together, she said firmly. We'll protect our heir no matter what. The alien figure descended fully into the chamber. Its arms extended, energy weapons glowing, and it spoke in a language that vibrated in the walls. Mara couldn't understand the words, but the threat was clear. She tensed, knowing any misstep could trigger the cocoon's overload. The small dragon chirped sharply, sensing her fear, and nudged her arm. She drew strength from its tiny gesture, her courage solidifying. Eli moved first. He shoved a metal conduit toward the alien, forcing it back while redirecting the chamber's residual energy toward a side wall. Sparks sprayed across the floor, but he didn't flinch. Mara watched, astonished. This human, this plumber, was risking his life without hesitation. He wasn't trained, he wasn't a warrior, and yet his intelligence and courage matched the threat. The alien advanced, energy weapon crackling. The cocoon pulsed violently in response as if warning them. Mara's bond with the creature flared instinctively. She projected calm, deliberate energy from her wheelchair, letting it flow through the cocoon, the small dragon, and even toward the alien. The air thickened with light and heat. The alien froze, its weapon flickering, clearly sensing the surge. "Now Eli!" Mara shouted. Eli pivoted, slamming the dampener against the floor, channeling the redirected energy in a controlled arc. Sparks flew and the alien stumbled, shielding itself. The small dragon chirped triumphantly, wings beating in harmony with the cocoon's rhythm. Mara focused harder, feeling the pulsing energy align with her heartbeat. The cocoon shimmered, its light forming a protective barrier around her. The alien recovered quickly, lunging forward, but the cocoon reacted instantly. Light flared, projecting outward like a shield, forcing the alien to halt mid-step. Mara felt the energy hum in her chest, responding to her will. She realized she could guide it, control it, not just defend herself but influence the outcome. Her determination surged. "Eli, together. Channel it through me," she commanded. Eli's hands flew over the dampener, adjusting conduits and rerouting residual energy. He gritted his teeth, sweat running down his face. Sparks arced dangerously close to Mara's wheelchair, but he didn't waver. "I've got you. Keep it steady." Mara projected the bond fully. The cocoon vibrated, wings of light unfurling from the hidden air inside. The small dragon leapt from her lap, diving toward the alien. Its energy pulses hit the intruder, causing the alien to stagger backward, shield flickering. Mara felt an immense surge of pride and fear simultaneously. Her courage, her bond, and Eli's cleverness were holding them alive against an impossible odds scenario. The alien roared, trying to summon another energy strike, but Mara anticipated it. She shifted the focus, projecting pulses of calm energy from the cocoon outward, synchronizing with her heartbeat and the small dragon's wings. The alien froze, disoriented. Its weapon misfired, harmlessly striking the chamber wall. Eli exhaled sharply. "It's working. Keep going, Empress." Mara smiled briefly despite the danger. Years of loneliness, isolation, and political betrayal had left her wary, but now, standing or sitting, beside a human whose courage matched her own and a dragon heir reborn, she felt unstoppable. Her pulses grew stronger, more precise, guiding the energy like a conductor orchestrating a symphony of light. The alien staggered back one final time, energy weapons failing, then retreated toward the shaft. Its gaze lingered on Mara, an unspoken warning. Mara's pulse slowed as the cocoon's light softened. The chamber settled into quiet hums of controlled energy. The small dragon chirped, circling her lap in triumph, while the large cocooned airs glowed dimmed, calm and responsive. Eli slumped against the wall, exhausted but alive. You did it," he said between breaths. "I've never seen anything like that. Not even in the stories they told me as a kid." Mara's chest heaved, a mix of relief and awe. "We did it," she corrected gently, glancing at the small dragon. "Together." For the first time in decades, Mara smiled freely. She realized that humans, unlike dragons or palace guards, could act with courage, intelligence, and compassion all at once. Eli had risked his life without hesitation, and in doing so, had rewritten her destiny. A sudden, soft hum pulsed from the cocoon. Mara froze. The glow wasn't fading entirely. Something deeper was awakening, something she couldn't yet see. The hum carried a promise, a whisper of untold secrets waiting below the palace, far beyond even this confrontation. Eli noticed her tense posture. "What now?" he asked cautiously. Mara's eyes met the glowing energy of her air. "Now, we prepare," she said, voice firm. Because this was only the beginning. Above them, the palace corridors were silent, but shadows lingered. Somewhere, unseen, someone, or something, was watching, waiting for the next move. Mara knew their challenge wasn't over. She had won the battle, but the war for her heir's future, her palace, and perhaps the balance between humans and dragons had only begun. The chamber was quiet now. Sparks no longer hissed across the walls, and the hum of the cocooned air had softened into a steady, calming rhythm. Mara sat upright in her wheelchair, hands resting lightly on the armrests, her chest rising and falling as she absorbed what had just happened. The small silver dragon perched on her lap, wings folded, eyes bright with curiosity and loyalty. She could feel it, alive, intelligent, and connected to her in ways she had never thought possible. Eli Thorne leaned against the wall, panting, smeared with soot, yet alive. He had risked everything, guided her, and stabilized energy that no palace engineer or dragon elder could have managed. Mara looked at him, eyes softening. "You didn't have to do all of this," she said quietly, voice still trembling from adrenaline. "I did," Eli replied simply, wiping sweat from his brow. "Because it was the right thing. Someone had to step in." He gestured toward the cocoon, then back at Mara. "And you needed someone you could trust. Someone human enough to understand it. I didn't know I could do it, but I had to try." Mara smiled, a genuine warmth breaking across her face. For the first time in centuries she felt a connection, not just with a living creature that had been stolen from her, but with a human who had risked everything to save her and her heir. Loneliness had defined her life, and yet here she was, surrounded by unexpected allies and fragile, pulsing hope. The cocoon stirred gently. Light radiated from it in soft, undulating waves, and Mara could feel the intelligence within. It recognized her, trusted her, responded to her presence. The small silver dragon chirped and nuzzled her hand, and she instinctively stroked its scales. You're part of my family," she whispered. The creature pulsed in response as though acknowledging her words. Eli looked at her with awe. "It's incredible. It listens to you and only you. That bond, there's nothing like it." He paused, glancing around the chamber. "But the palace, and whoever sent that alien, they'll be back. This isn't over." Mara nodded, still processing the enormity of the events. She had survived a crisis that could have destroyed her, her heir, and the palace itself. She had discovered something profound. Humans could act with courage, intelligence, and morality in ways that even dragons and empires couldn't always achieve. Eli had rewritten her destiny in hours, but the bond between her and her heir was just beginning. She wheeled closer to the cocoon, letting the pulsing energy wash over her. Each beat resonated through her, and she realized that she didn't need to be alone anymore. She had allies and she had courage, both human and dragon, that she could rely on. The small dragon chirped, flying briefly above her head before landing again, a tiny guardian in her lap. Eli adjusted the dampener one last time, ensuring the energy remained stable. "You've got a powerful gift here, Empress," he said. "You just have to learn how to use it, and protect it. But whatever happens next, you won't face it alone." Mara looked at him, eyes softening with gratitude. "You've changed everything, Eli. You weren't just a plumber. You saved me." Her voice trembled, not from fear but from the relief of finally feeling seen, understood, and respected. For a long moment they sat in silence, the cocoon glowing softly between them. Mara realized something else. She had celebrated birthdays before, but never one like this. It had begun with loneliness, fear, and danger, but now it was a day of rebirth, connection, and trust. She had seen courage beyond her species, intelligence beyond her understanding, and compassion that had rewritten her life. The chamber door creaked. Mara glanced toward it, wariness rising. Shadows stretched across the walls, and for a heartbeat, her instincts screamed that more danger might be near. Eli's hand rested lightly on her chair, ready to act. But when the light cleared, they saw nothing, only the faint glow of energy from the cocoon pulsing steadily, signaling calm. Mara turned her attention back to the cocoon. "We have to learn from it," she said softly. "Understand its energy, its history, and keep it safe. Whoever comes next will be ready." She felt the small dragon stir in her lap and she smiled. "You and I, we'll protect each other." Eli's expression softened. "That's what humans do, Empress. We protect. We fight. We think, we care, and we adapt. We shine when the odds seem impossible." Mara exhaled, a weight lifting from her shoulders. For centuries she had relied on her power, her dragons, her authority. Now she had something new, human courage, unshakable loyalty, and a living bond with a creature she had thought lost forever. The loneliness of her life began to fade, replaced by hope, connection, and determination. Outside, the palace corridors were silent, but Mara's senses were sharper than ever. Somewhere beyond the walls, beyond the palace, watchers lingered, aliens, spies, factions, but she no longer felt fear. She had survived the impossible, and she would face whatever came next with her heir, her small dragon, and Eli by her side. The cocoon pulsed one last time, sending waves of energy throughout the chamber. Mara smiled, eyes bright. Her birthday had begun in danger, but it ended in rebirth. The world outside might be unpredictable, but for the first time in centuries she felt truly alive, and ready. And as the hum softened into a gentle rhythm, Eli noticed something in the shadows above. A flicker of movement, distant yet deliberate. Whoever, or whatever, was watching hadn't gone far. Mara's gaze sharpened and she whispered to the small dragon, "Then we prepare for the real adventure."